Every day, aspiring aviators lose thousands of their hard-earned dollars to corrupt, negligent flight schools. These schools are getting rich, taking advantage of people who don't know better. For new pilots, finding a trustworthy, reliable flight school is very difficult. Watching this video could literally save you thousands of dollars. There are 4 key indicators that will help you decide if a flight school is trustworthy. Watch to the end, where I reveal typical dishonest flight school red flags you should look out for. This is Right Pilot. Let's get into it. First off, maintenance is very important. A good flight school prioritizes your safety above all else. They use top-notch maintenance facilities for their aircraft. When you're checking out a flight school, ask about their maintenance team. Are they on-site? Local? This isn't a hard rule, but you may want to prioritize flight schools with an on-site maintenance team. This way, you can see the mechanics in charge of keeping the aircraft safe. It also means repairs and checkups will take less time to complete. Some flight schools outsource their maintenance to service companies. What company does your flight school use? Are they reputable? The quality of a plane isn't measured by how old it is. It's by how well it was maintained. A 5-year-old Piper Archer poorly kept might actually fly worse than a 20-year-old Warrior with top-shelf maintenance. A bad flight school will upsell you on the Archer because they think they can get away with it. Many of these schools cut corners when it comes to safety. Every plane requires an annual check, a monthly VOR check, a check for every 100 hours of flight time, as well as several other routine checks for essential flight components, like the altimeter and transponder. These ensure that the plane is safe to fly and has quality instruments. Bad flight schools may illegally cheap out on these checks to save money, putting your safety at risk. Maintenance is important, but what about the planes themselves? Whether a flight school has Cessnas or Pipers, it's important you know what you're paying for. Both aircraft are solid choices, but as a student, flying different types of aircraft will slow your progress. It's best to find one and stick to it. A bad flight school might advertise they've got 10 planes in their fleet, but if 3 of them are Hoffmans, 3 are ATRs, 2 are Pipers, and 2 are Cessnas, they might as well only have 3 planes. Make sure your flight school's planes are all from the same manufacturer to keep your options as open as possible. You've done your research, found a flight school with a great on-site maintenance team and a decent selection of aircraft, all the same type, all accessible to you for a small down payment of $5,000. Forget it, walk out the door. Never pay up front for flight school. Why? Because it could be anything. An accident as small as wind from a propeller kicking up pebbles that cracks someone's window. If your flight school gets sued and doesn't have enough capital to pay for the suit, they could file for bankruptcy. And guess what happens to the $5,000 you spend months saving? Gone. Flight schools go out of business all the time and leave customers high and dry. Don't get robbed. Consider how long your flight school has been in business. Good flight schools have pay-as-you-go policies, so you never feel like you're getting ripped off. Last, you've got to pick your instructor. Now, ideally, you want what's called a career instructor. That's someone who's been teaching for years and does it for their main livelihood. You can trust that this person will be there from your private license all the way to your CFI. The last thing you want is to be tossed from one instructor to the next. This will for sure slow your progress and result in more flight hours and more money spent. That doesn't mean you can't have success with a younger instructor though. Most CFIs, that's certified flight instructors, are just building up hours on their way to the airlines. You just need to make sure that your guy will be around long enough to accomplish whatever your goal is. Now before I go, here's some common flight school red flags you should look out for. I saved the best one for last. No refunds. Good flight schools will give you the option to open an account and pay more to save money. But if a flight school requires you to make an account with a non-refundable payment, that's a sign of disaster. Make sure you read any contract carefully and avoid paying in large amounts. You're not ready to solo. At a good flight school, the instructors want you to solo as soon as possible. The day you show that you're ready is the day you solo. Bad flight schools know they can milk you for more money when you fly with an instructor, so they'll hold you back from your solo because you're not ready. If you've fallen into one of these schemes, find a new flight school. Ground days. There are plenty of valid reasons an instructor will cancel a flight. Either the plane is down for maintenance, they call in sick, or the weather is unfavorable. But if your instructor frequently replaces flights with ground instruction, it could be a sign they're taking advantage of you. In that case, you'll want to find a new instructor immediately and stop wasting your money. Joyrides. You should come out of every flight feeling like you learned something. like you're getting your money's worth from your lessons. If your instructor decides they want to take you on some long cross-country flight where you're observing them fly the entire time, odds are they're just trying to make some easy money off of you. There is a point in your training where this could be appropriate, say right at the start of your cross-country phase. But if you're at a point, especially at the beginning of your training, where this would be too much too soon, that's a red flag for sure. Last but not least, guarantees. There are no guarantees in aviation, and that's true from your first day of flight school all the way to the airlines. If a flight school guarantees you anything, like I've heard solo in 2 weeks, license for 10,000 or less, they are 100% lying to you. Of course, a good flight school will promise you things like excellent service, quality instructors, maybe even some sort of refund policy, which I'd be wary of. But that's because they've worked hard to be able to confidently promise those things. Bad flight schools sucker people in with false promises. When they end up paying 10 grand and haven't gotten their license, the flight school will convince them it's their fault, that they didn't try hard enough, when in reality their flight school probably held them back intentionally to milk them for even more money. Ultimately, it never hurts to get a second opinion if you're unsure about your flight school. And if you're getting ripped off, don't be afraid to change schools. You're investing a lot of time and money, so you deserve the best. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced something like this at your flight school. If you liked the video, have any questions or ideas for new videos, let me know in the comments. If you really liked it, subscribe for more content like this.